Hello guys, I'm finally excited to announce the launch of the No Strings Attached show. Basically, the idea of the show that I invite various professionals from the industry of tennis, of high performance sport, and we talk about their life with their methodics and styles and values, and also we just talk about the industry and what can we do better as professionals, and what basically we can learn from each other. So very excited for that. And my first guest is very special because not only she's a good friend of mine, but also she's a very good tennis player. She has a career high of 131. She achieved it last year, and unfortunately because of the injuries she was forced to stop playing for a little bit, and she's gonna be coming back later this year. Unbelievable person, hard worker, talented musician, and like I said, great tennis player. We had a lot of fun talking about her early childhood development and parenting and her values and what keeps her motivated, and just a really good conversation. We had a blast, and hopefully you guys will too. So without further ado, let's get started. I went to Montreal during Christmas break to see my cousin.
Right.
And I went there with my friend, and we just started talking about, new year, new resolutions, and all that kind of stuff with new goals. And they were like, hey, why don't you start a podcast? Because I've been telling them about like all these like Tim Ferriss, Joe Rogan podcasts that I'm obsessed with.
Right.
And I was like, well, it can be a good idea. I'm passionate about tennis, I like the sport and like all that kind of stuff. And I came back to Toronto and started immediately putting all this thing together.
Yeah.
And the first person that I thought of
Wow.
was you. Because
So honored.
yeah, I mean, no, but really, if you think about it, well, how I thought about it is that you're so passionate about the sport. You're aiming really high in your achievements and in what you want to achieve with the sport, and you're just dedicated. Like there was no, like I've known you for several years now, and I haven't seen a single practice where you just didn't show up, mentally and physically for it. There was obviously days when you, didn't perform to your expectations, but you would always be there, and just your commitment always unquestionable to the sport, and every day, on a daily basis. It's like ridiculous.
Thank
it's like,
you.
is this girl like,
that means a lot.
Can you tank for one day, or like, you know what I mean?
No, I definitely do.
But it doesn't show.
Yeah,
I'm
just really good at hiding it.
You're just at that level where it just doesn't show anymore, So my first question is, going back to your childhood, have you always been that kind of kid who, who brings it on her own, or it's been like a parent's effort, or like, can you just describe me like how you were as a kid?
I think it's always been an innate thing for me, whether it's like in school or in sports. I've always just, I don't know, it's something inside me that drives me forward, and really, I always yearn to get better. I'm very competitive also, with myself and with others, so obviously that quality helps if you're trying to improve. It could be a good thing and a bad thing. I'm sometimes maybe too much of a perfectionist, but overall I think I've always just tried to bring out the best in myself, and I think my parents obviously helped with that, just being firm but not very controlling, if that makes sense. Like I always had an expectation of what was expected of me.
Can you elaborate a little bit on like the style and like how you were raised because you're coming from Chinese, but you're of Chinese background, correct? So, and your parents, I'm assuming they're a little bit like on the traditional, like Asian side in terms of discipline and the values. And can you just elaborate a little bit on how is it to be brought up in that culture and that environment?
Well, I mean, I don't know how they did it, but I actually think it's pretty effective because they instilled something in me that became very organic and that wasn't forced. Because I think if you try to, push someone onto a certain path or push someone to think in a certain way, it can often not go as planned. And for them, it was always, like firm hand and always, you're expected to be responsible for what you're doing and have a plan and a purpose. But at the same time, it was never pushed, or I was never under pressure to achieve any kind of results in anything really. So I think that really helped me to have the work ethic and the dedication to do what I wanted to do, but not, suffer for it, I guess.
Yeah, that's fascinating because, in my mind, like, and again, that's what I know,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I hear from other people, like, especially when it comes to education,
Mm-hmm.
you would hear that.
Asian parents.
That's right.
For sure, yeah.
Like, you're either getting 99 or you're out of home, like, what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, you're either becoming a doctor, like, there's
Mm-hmm.
so much pressure on the outcome
Right.
in those families. Again, I'm generalizing.
No, it's
So
it's the truth, yeah.
It's fascinating to hear that they almost like took the best practice out of that culture, meaning we're gonna focus on the values.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna focus on
Right.
her well-being, like as a person.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We're not gonna push her to any, like, we're just gonna give her freedom, but at the same time we're gonna frame
For sure.
how
Yeah.
she's gonna be raised as a person.
And the value system and what was important, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like I said, I'm not even sure if they knew, because I'm an only child, right? So I'm not really sure if they even planned for that to happen. And I'm not saying that it was completely right in all the ways, but for sure, like when I was younger, I would always. Sorry, I just lost track of what we were trying to say.
No, it's okay. I mean, we're just going back to.
Oh right, the childhood thing, the
That's
Asian
right.
parents, yeah. Yeah, I mean, for sure, I had some amount of like academic pressure. I wouldn't even call it pressure. It was more like self-imposed. Like I wanted to do well. I wanted to achieve something. It was never for them or for someone else or for the fact that I'm Asian or anything like that.
So if you bring home like a grade
Right.
that's not to the standard,
Yeah.
like, what kind of conversations would you have with your family?
Well, to be quite honest, that didn't really happen that often.
Oh, really? No, that's awesome.
Yeah, which I mean, I guess helped in preventing that kind of situation. But no, in the times when I did get like B's or anything, like it would be, I mean, just do better next time. Just for us, it was always like summarizing like what you did and being sure that you're aware of why something happened, good or bad, and then taking lessons from it and applying to the next situation. I think that was like really the value that was instilled in me. So it wasn't so much about like you failed, it was more like okay, that's fine, like what can you do better next time, and make sure you do it next time. And that is kind of like the I guess the Asian part, if you will, is that challenging yourself to actually do better next time and not just say it.
And that mentality, because you're just explaining like about this whole thing in general, and
Mm-hmm.
like you can perfectly put it on tennis, on like running a restaurant, on
For sure.
like
Anything, yeah.
writing songs and like whatever. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
it's so universal,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, I guess, their best achievement, to kind of give you that frame,
Mm-hmm.
in which you just kept growing and growing as a student, as
Yeah.
a person, as a tennis player, because
Yeah.
if they give you that foundation, you can choose whatever you want to
Absolutely.
do.
Yeah.
You can do what they taught you,
Mm-hmm.
apply that, and you will be successful,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah, because I truly believe that it has to stem from the person themselves. That, like, if you, like, the passion, the dedication, the work ethic has to come from that person. You can't will it into somebody. It's not authentic that way, and you're not going to get the best results. So
It's true.
yeah.
At what age do you remember yourself, like, taking that responsibility and taking, charge of your own career, so to
Mhm.
say, of your life, and just
Right.
kind of, what, I just have to push myself. I have to get better. I have to,
Mm-hmm.
at what point do you realize that you're gonna commit to tennis?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just my relationship with tennis overall has been really just natural. Like, I never planned on, at age 8 or 10, like, on doing this for a living. I wasn't one of those kids that was like, I'm going to be number one in the world at 8 years old,
Yeah.
So I always took it, as a natural progression type thing. And So there was never really a point where I was like, this is going to be my job. It was always, I'm going to meet this next stage that I'm at with the necessary, mindset that I needed, and to move on from there. It was never forced really in my memory. But probably around like age, like 11 or 12, when you start competing in more like competitive environments, you begin obviously to think about it more as more than just a hobby.
Okay, so going back to your 11, 12, period, I was in Calgary actually maybe a month ago or.
Oh no! Did you see an embarrassing picture of me?
For the U12, I saw the picture of everybody, but I couldn't find you. I sent the picture, remember?
Oh yeah.
And you said it was Louise.
No, I was probably like way too small. I probably was like didn't even make it.
No, you for sure you made the picture. But my question was like how good were you under 12, and like under 14, and because a lot of times like parents and players, it's normal that they live in the moment, they live in the now, and they think it's so important. But I'm just curious, like, to draw any parallels. Like, what would be your results on World Nationals, for example?
I think under 12s, my best result was like maybe 5th over in the country. I was always like, I like kind of a late bloomer physically compared to other girls. So at age 12, I was like half the size of some of the girls out there.
Yeah.
And then at starting from like 13, 14. I won 14s and then I won 18s when I was 14, I think, or maybe just turned 15. And it kind of progressed pretty quickly from there. But looking back at it now, though, like it's really the focus has got to be on development. Like it's the results are very secondary to development.
Who was your coach at that time? Like before you came to the center?
Well, I was working with like Jeff Elwood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that was like sort of the inception of the program here, of the Tennis Canada program here, before I went to Montreal. So.
So it was kind of like a transition program, like it is now,
exactly.
like a regional center, and then you go to
Exactly. And so and then at 15 I went to Montreal. So that was kind of my progression there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's interesting. You said like under 12, like not so much, and then once the the physical attributes started to come together, you started to improve and excel, and that's when you slowly but surely got to number 9 in the world as a junior.
Yeah. Wow.
Right?
Did your research?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got to be prepared. So. I was actually quite fascinated by like a lot of things that I found out about you. But
really,
yeah, no,
I thought you knew me pretty well.
No, that's what I thought until you'll be fascinated what kind of stuff you can find on Wikipedia. But
oh God, Jesus, that's terrifying.
But so you got to number 9 in the world. You won your doubles title, Australian Open. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience again, getting some? I would say pretty like world class results on a junior level, and just achieving that, what it meant to you, because you were obviously putting a lot of hard work, and like you said, like coming from under 12 where it hasn't been a lot of success, and then like it seems like it started to accumulate a little bit.
I went to Montreal when I was 15, and then obviously that's where like the bulk of my junior development was, and life was almost 100% tennis. You're living and breathing it, and you're traveling 30 weeks a year, and so for us, like, to get a taste of international competition at that level at first is obviously cool, when you're young, and as you start climbing up the rankings, you start to think that, oh, maybe it's possible, like maybe I can be top 100, top 50, top 20, and you start to set sort of these periodical goals for yourself, and it definitely is a cool process to reach each one almost, and break down each barrier and start to think, that maybe if I'm having success at a junior level, maybe I can translate this to the pro tour. And so it's a very like domino like effect. Like it's, for me, it wasn't again like at 12 years old thinking I'm going to be number one in the world. I mean, obviously everyone thinks that, you know, but for me, again, it was very. I took each stage as it came, and
yeah. I think it's very healthy, you know, like the way you approach things, and I think that to kind of to counter what you were just saying, that everybody thinks. I think most of the parents kind of put in their kids, you know, head that, okay, you're gonna be number one.
Right.
Whether everybody says that, they don't mean necessarily that. I think because I think in your case, just talking about your parents, you were thinking like, oh, there is a possibility because of certain things that happen. Like your success kind of developing and becoming better and better and better, where sometimes just people don't mean it. Like there is no background to, it's just like me saying, well, you know, I want to be an astronaut.
Everyone wants to be like number one in the world at something.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's so behind your thinking there was logic and there was like that freedom of choice. Nobody was putting that in your head. I think is important because again it showcases your intrinsic motivation, you know, to achieve higher results and get better.
And truth be told, like I mean, when you're young and you're a teenager, I don't think you're aware of like how your thinking process is affecting maybe your tennis. But now looking back, like the emphasis for us like as a family was always on process, and it still is. I mean, even now that it's a real job, you know.
No, that's for sure.
It's always like about trying to pursue excellence in your craft, and you know, the results will come if it's meant to be. It's not something you have complete control over, you know, but you have control over, you know, trying to pursue excellence and trying to master your craft. So that's always what the focus is on for me, I think.
That's awesome. Yeah. I wish a lot of kids, hopefully they will hear that and, you know, kind of put things in perspective, because the more the message is out there that it is, because that's what it is. Whether you're doing tennis, whether you're doing, it doesn't matter what you do really. Right.
But of course, if you're, you know, when I was 13, 14 and I was playing, you know, provincials or nationals, when you're in that moment, you want to win it because that's your everything. That's your moment. And, you know, that's what I felt also. But I think the overall, like, big picture still has to be, you know, focused on development.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So you were saying that you kind of kept winning, started to win on an international arena and all those tournaments.
Yeah.
So did you start like playing ITFs, G5s, like in G4 just the regular?
Oh yeah.
Like
I definitely grinded that G5 life.
Okay. So how, like, tell me about your transition. At what point you like, okay, I have to start playing G4, or like at least your coaches, like, they were saying, okay, we're gonna start playing G3s or like G2s, or like.
Yeah, I was working with Roberto Bergin, like he's still part of tennis kind of stuff at the time, and when we started with G5s, and I remember I think I won like 25 matches in a row or something. Still like my longest winning streak. I don't think I'll ever break that.
Wow. I didn't find that on Wikipedia.
Oh really?
I'll add it after the
show. So that's when I won like all the G5 and G4s, and then. Eventually, like after that, we were like, "Hey, we can move on." It's all about, you know, like playing up a level, or you know, and seeing if you're up to that standard, and then adjusting based on your results, and then working on things that you need to work on.
Yeah.
So it's really quite simple, like, but for us again, like the focus was always on. You know, every year we had an annual plan, and the annual goal was like top 100, or this year, or in the next year top 50. You know, and just to try to, you know, improve every year, and then try to play the tournaments that can get you there. So
yeah, I think it's tennis. If you think about it, such a unique sport where your schedule can change, like in
just the day before.
The day before, pretty much. You know, and you were saying like, okay, I was winning 25 matches in a row, but you know, and that's why you were okay. It's obviously a good time to move on to play higher tournaments, but sometimes, you know, you're losing, you know, and you want to go back a level. I'm just saying for the for junior, for pro, I think it's the same.
Yeah.
So which is interesting how you would manage that kind of stuff, you know. So it's just I'm just throwing it out there because I see a lot of juniors who and I guess it comes from desire to get there as fast, and it's a good thing because like they don't mean like anything bad. They just want to get to that next level as fast as possible. But I think it's very, very important to maintain that, you know, win-loss ratio for the confidence, because what you said was, I think, very, very important and crucial. As soon as you started to win, you started to think that pro life is closer a little bit. You could see it a little bit.
Right.
Like the vision started to form a little bit, right? Yeah. So it's very, 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 very important point that you brought up.
Yeah,
I think.
And I think it's really important what you said too. You have to take it, stage by stage. It's you have to go G5, G4s, then G3, G2s, and all of a sudden you're playing G1s, winning G1s, and then winning Grand Slams or whatever it is your progression is, and then all of a sudden, it just, you have to take it step by step. So,
yeah. So my next question then, because it kind of, I think it's logical. So if you were number 9, winning Grand Slams on a
in doubles.
No, but doubles, it's you still have to play tennis, and not everybody can do it. It's no
disrespect to doubles, but
no. So how come you decided to go to the university?
Yeah, great question. One that I get a lot, but I mean, for me, again, it goes back to my value system, I guess, and what I felt was right for me personally. I'm not gonna advertise my route to every single person out there, because everyone has their own experience and story. But for me, I really wanted that experience. I was hungry for that environment where I would be challenged, both intellectually and athletically, really. And for me, it was just such a great opportunity to grow as a person, as a human being, and to have that experience. And it turned out to be way richer than I ever expected. So at the time, obviously, the obvious choice was to turn pro, and a lot of people thought Asian parents, they must have forced you to go to Stanford, but no, absolutely not. Like, it was completely my decision. My parents sat me down and they were like, I mean, you can sign this contract and turn pro, or you can sign this letter of intent and
did you have contracts on that?
But okay. I mean, like, for me, it was always an easy decision, I think.
Like, you knew it right away. Like,
yeah. It was never something I lost sleep over, I guess, because for me it was always like, I want this experience, and I do want to turn pro. That is always in the plan. It's always a matter of when, not if, but for now I want to have this experience. That's kind of my thought process there.
Okay, that's awesome. I think it's pretty unique that it comes from the player to kind of, and I think you have to be really self-aware and know yourself really, really well to have that kind of confidence to say, you know what, I'm gonna go to university, I'm gonna get that experience, and I'm gonna get distracted from all these parties, from all the social aspects that university can bring. No, for sure. And obviously going to Stanford, which is insanely demanding academically.
Very competitive, yeah.
Very competitive. So you have to keep up not only in school, on the tennis court, in the gym, but also like to have some social life of some sort to balance it out. And so can you talk about your experience in university, because you're going from one environment, like that being at Montreal NTC, where you had your coaches, you had your fitness coach.
Kind of a bubble.
Yeah, like a little bit of a comfort zone, really, because you got accustomed to it, and you're going as a number 10 in the world, winning doubles, like you're going there really, really confident, but then your whole structure changes around you. So all of a sudden, like you were mentioning, that your time of training got reduced a little bit. So just talk about that experience coming from one environment to another and kind of adapting and living it.
As someone who was traveling since a young age internationally, you sort of gain this adaptability, I think, which really helped when I got to college, because for sure the environment is very different, and the demands are very different. You're walking into classrooms and these are some of the smartest kids in the world, really, and then you're working out sometimes with Olympic gold medalists, or even people on your team who are great tennis players.
Really, you had students who won gold medals.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like not juniors.
Yeah, not juniors.
Obviously, we're not talking juniors anymore.
Yeah. So it's always something where whatever you've done, someone's done it better, kind of thing. Which is a great thing. It's to help you, to make you push yourself and to find that extra gear. And so obviously, the time, training wise, was reduced, because you have this whole other life to attend to. You know, you're also a full-time student, and you're learning all these things, and you have to, you know, obviously, like you said, you want to have some kind of social life because that's very much a part of the experience. But at the same time, you know, there are an abundance of resources for you there athletically if you choose to take them. You know, you have very experienced coaching staff. For me, I still talk to Lily, our coach, and I think she's going to be a lifelong mentor for me. And you have the best athletic trainers and you know, doctors, physios, and really, if you want to take advantage of that environment, you totally can.
So, what were the differences in terms of the training? Like,
so let's say like at NTC, you train like twice a day, maybe like 2 hours each time, and then have fitness and stuff. At Stanford, I think our practices were like 2.5 hours.
Okay.
And then followed by fitness, and then whatever you need to do. And I always try to go in for more privates with Lily, so we can bump the time up and have some one-on-one time. And yeah, so I mean, I've always been a quality over quantity kind of person. I think it doesn't matter how long you do it for. It's about how well you do it, and especially in that kind of packed schedule where you can have like 26 things on your agenda for that day. Like, there's no time to like waste, really, for lack of a better way of saying it. Yeah, you just have to jump from one thing to the next and zone in right away and be focused. And yeah, so it was a very unique experience for sure.
Yeah, so you didn't feel like the lack of time on court, I mean, not the reduction of the time that you spend on the court had its effect on you as a player. Like, it was just a matter of kind of, okay, I have like this amount of time, but no bullshit, no time to waste, let's go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's an aspect of that, but obviously, you know, if you're training to be on tour full time, your schedule is gonna revolve more around tennis, that's for sure. You know, I didn't pick that route to, you know, say that this is the ideal like professional training environment, you know, in all senses of it. I was going for the more holistic experience, and so part of the reason I chose Stanford was because of its strong, you know, tennis heritage, and it's produced so many pro players in the past, and yeah, so it's not something, I guess, new for the program.
Okay. Did you play anybody at the university level who then also, like, you played on the tour, and who at least, or maybe you saw on the tour,
sure.
And if you're like, oh, the girl is doing the same thing.
I think, I mean, my year, now there are a couple people in the top 100, and a couple more who have made it there, and a lot of us are, you know, around 150 or so. So the level was very strong, at least in my time there. And yeah, and you're competing every weekend, so, you know, there's never a lack of matches or competition. So.
What would be your typical day? Because you mentioned your typical day in Montreal NTC, and, you know, like, it's pretty standard, you know, tennis centric, yeah. And there's not, I mean, there's school, obviously you're doing your school, but yeah. There's not much hanging out and going like to across the campus, you know, like to pick up your books, whatever. Can you talk about your experience in Stanford? Like, what would be your regular day?
Yeah, like, some days will be really, really busy, and I'm someone who like tries to overachieve, so I like to like do as much as I can with the time that I have. So sometimes I'd wake up maybe around like 7:30 and go to the gym for workout, for team workout, and that's something like you literally can't be late for.
Okay.
So I guess it's good.
What happens if you're late?
Like, the whole team has to do like terrible physical punishment.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. I like that there was a team aspect.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of those things.
Yeah.
Like, everybody has to do it, and one of the people would be like, why the hell I have to do it?
Yeah.
If she was late, why am I suffering?
Right.
Because we're a fucking team, you know.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like
exactly new concept for a tennis player, but
exactly.
And then after that, like, I would have class like immediately after, and so many times I'd be like still sweating and like holding like my breakfast sandwich and walking into the lecture and like trying to not look like a total fool. And then sometimes back from there would go and have a private lesson with Lily, try to get some more time in the mornings. And then from there, I'm just thinking of this one day in my head that I had. From there, I think I had to like race across campus and present this research that I was doing to a professor, and it's just like a very quick like mind frame change. You have to all of a sudden be like eloquent and like
That's right.
and like presentable, and still you're still sweating and still kind of like looking like a fool. And then you would have lunch. Sometimes you have like 10 minutes for lunch or 5 minutes for lunch, and then you would have team practice in the afternoon, and then more lectures, stuff like this. And then in the evenings, you try to do something normal, try to hang out with friends.
Yeah, for sure, because like the social aspect in university, like it's crazy.
Huge part of it.
It's a huge part of it.
Yeah,
and
and everyone says don't get distracted by the parties. I think you said that actually a little bit. But I think those are also really important to experience, as long as obviously you don't do anything like totally stupid. But
you have to have certain maturity for that kind of stuff and certain like knowledge of your your goals. Like if you know that like I know I have this thing coming up, like this practice the next morning or the next afternoon, like I can come, but I'm not gonna be doing like crazy stuff. Exactly. So it's just like putting things like in a priority list and understanding like what can you do, what can't you do. You're at that point, you're mature enough.
And it's a skill. Like you learn to manage yourself, your energy, your time. And
you make mistakes.
Yes, but through making those mistakes, then you know what to do next time, which is really important.
If you're smart about it.
Yes, for sure. So yeah, oftentimes be like done at like 10 p.m. midnight, and then try to study, do homework. I guess all the normal, very interesting stuff.
Any other crazy stories like? Not crazy, but like anything interesting in terms of like the punishments. Like you had to be on time. That's one of the things that we're big on, right? Anything else that like from the culture that stands out?
From the team culture?
From the team culture, like they were trying to communicate.
Honestly, for us, we didn't really have like that kind of like cutthroat environment. It was very collaborative. The whole atmosphere there was very collaborative.
Because you guys were good?
Like just because that was the culture. I think that was what the coaches sort of instilled in us, and nothing was difficult to do. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't difficult to be on time. It wasn't difficult to cheer for your teammate. You know what I mean? Because you genuinely wanted to contribute in a positive way. So yeah, nothing from that front end.
And I think it being an Ivy League, university, it's like if you're getting there, you probably have your values more or less like fixed.
Yeah,
in the right way. No, like or were there douchebags like on the team or like?
There's always douchebags, Bogdan. No, no. I mean, obviously, like to a certain extent, like you have to have an adequate level of like time management and resource management and whatnot, and be able to keep up with the demands and the pace of everything, because it's very, very fast paced. But yeah, I mean, when you're in it though, then you learn to like bring yourself up to that level, and I think it's a very it was a very fulfilling thing for me to be able to do that. Okay,
and you played some pro events when you were in university, correct? Mm-hmm. So at what time did you, like mostly in the summer or?
Yeah, I also played some during the season, like when I could, when there was sort of like a lapse in the schedule.
Close.
Yeah. Okay. And you could always find time to fit them in if you wanted to, because I wanted to still, keep my ranking up or keep my, feet in the water at least.
That's right.
So, yeah, that was definitely possible.
And how did you like that experience, and how did you, I guess, manage to like restructure your mindset, I guess, because it's a different ballgame. Yeah. Right. So.
Yeah. So you're in that environment where you're constantly pushed, right? You're always like kind of on the brink of like, I can't do this anymore, but you keep pushing that up as you navigate your life, your student athlete life. Mm-hmm. And so under that influence, I guess once you got to tournaments, it's very much the same mindset. You're always trying to achieve excellence. You're always trying to do your best, and for me it was pretty natural, because I always played pro events, I guess. It was not foreign for me, so it's kind of like stepping out of one world and into another, and then sort of being comfortable with stepping out of
That's right.
many worlds and stepping into other ones. So
Okay.
yeah.
How many events were you allowed to play during the year?
There wasn't anything like you were or weren't allowed.
So there was no like a specific.
As you see fit. Obviously, we were on the quarter system, so we had 10 weeks a quarter. So missing too many weeks, obviously, isn't awesome for your academic life. So you just have to be wary of all your dimensions, I guess.
Okay, and how does that work? I heard that you only are allowed to earn a certain amount of money, like when you're.
Oh yeah, just up to expenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But back in my time, it was like that. At least I don't know if it's changed, but yeah.
Okay.
Which I'm, I guess, on the fence about, because I feel like if you get a summer job like working at the art gallery, you get to keep your expenses, right?
I mean that's a completely different
Yeah,
topic.
yeah,
I mean, there's so many like controversial things and like things we could talk about that are important, I think, for athletes, and it's a completely different topic. We're not going to go there because it's very touchy, and like I'm not educated enough on that to make any comments.
Me neither. Yeah.
But there's definitely some things to talk about, any other like stories, and or something that really just thinking about university, they're like, oh man, yeah, I really missed that, or like that was really cool, like how we did that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of like spontaneous just experiences with friends, like just I think you'll always remember. Just it was a special time in your life that brought you together. But for me, I think something that stands out was I for some reason thought it was a good idea to be a TA. Okay. My sophomore year for a psychology class, and it was a great experience. Built a great relationship with the professor, and it was awesome. But it was definitely a lot of work. Like I was in season, I ended up making the finals of NCAA's in singles, and I remember like just like grading exams or like taking questions from students like in between matches and stuff, and that was like I think like the epitome of like student athlete. Oh my god, that's life like there.
As stressful as it can get.
Yeah, like, no, but honestly, like I just constantly lived in this ebb and flow of like of comfort, even though it sounds really frazzled and crazy, but it felt natural to flow into one space and another. So
I guess the more you kind of put some work on your shoulders, the more fluid you are in it.
Yes.
Because it's personally for me, if I find myself with no work, like let's say I'm like on
you don't know what to do with yourself.
Let's say like I'm on vacation and I'm like what's happening?
Right.
Like, it's like it's only like 12 o'clock and I did everything.
And you feel dead. Yeah.
I feel like let's maybe do something else. So it's just like really a matter of putting enough work on yourself and just like kind of be in it in the moment.
Yeah. Well,
and focusing on the process, like we we talked about.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was also like I wanted to experience everything. I wanted to take the most out of my opportunity, and probably never have a chance to like do that again. So yeah, it was cool.
What was your like best memory from university?
Tennis wise, or
just doesn't have to be. You can share some stories with us.
Yeah. Well, tennis wise, for sure, it has to be winning the national championship as a team my junior year. Just because you've established these such strong bonds with your teammates and your coaches that you're almost like family, and you've been striving towards this common goal for so long, and to finally achieve it. It's not even so much about the winning part. It's just like the process of doing that together will always be I think one of the highlights of my career. So yeah, that's definitely very special.
Okay, so you're winning all these matches, like you're getting the title. At what point you were like, okay, you know what? Let's go and try this on a pro tour. Let's raise the stakes here a little bit.
Yeah. I think probably at the end of my sophomore year, started thinking about it. For like I said, for me, it was always a matter of when, not if. And so I did want to turn pro for sure, and I think I went back for my third year, or at least part of it, just because of my life there. I felt like there was a lot left to learn in the classroom, and I found passion in many of the things that I was doing. And of course, we still hadn't accomplished our goal of winning the national championship. So, all of those things put together, and plus, sort of having this guarantee that you're going to be very happy for these several months of your life. I think I decided to go back for that last little bit, and then after that, I felt like after winning that national championship and I felt like I had experienced all that I wanted to at that level, and so just decided to go from there.
Have you ever asked anybody about like, hey, like for example, your coach Lily, like, hey Lily, do you think like I'm ready, or do you think I should do this? Or hey, I'm thinking about going on the road.
Yeah.
Have you asked any, like have you had that conversation with anybody?
Lily was always extremely supportive. She actually came to a couple pro events with me, and again, she's developed like many pro players in her career. So for her, the big picture goal was always that, and she was always very adamant in that she had her belief in me, and
that's awesome.
Gave me a lot of confidence, and so she really gave me zero pressure on that front. Whenever I decided I wanted to go, she would fully support. So very grateful for that. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So you're making that decision to go on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're going back and you're playing. Like you're starting again from the bottom, pretty much of the pro
Started
tour.
From the bottom,
just like in that song.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's again another transition for you.
Absolutely.
Coming from again very successful environment, like a comfortable environment
Mm-hmm.
where you have your team, like you just won
Mm-hmm.
the championship, like everything is great, and then you're going back kind of to the grind. So
Mm-hmm.
what are the differences were at that point?
Yeah.
Because you're back to being alone again.
Yes, for sure. It was definitely a transition that I think I maybe didn't think was going to be as hard as it was.
Okay.
Just because I think when you're having success or at least like progressive, steady success at almost every level that you're playing, you kind of expect it to go smoothly, I guess, or at least a little bit smoothly. And at Stanford, actually, I had won some matches at the WTA level, like at the tournament there, and so I thought my level was at a pretty good place. But obviously, turning pro and turning it into your livelihood and it becoming your full-time profession, I think there is a little bit of a transition there that you need to get used to. And obviously, yes, becoming a very lonely sport all of a sudden, and starting from the bottom, playing 15Ks, playing 25Ks, and and when you don't get the results that you think you might get right away, it's very easy to start thinking a little bit about is this the right time? Like maybe this isn't the right time. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, or and so it really took me a couple months or almost half a year to get back on track from that, or not. I shouldn't say back on track, because it's very much a part of the process, and very necessary part of the process.
But at that time, maybe you didn't understand, so much.
Right.
Because if you're saying back on track, like.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it that way. Yeah,
that's right.
No, but in hindsight, it's a very necessary part of the process.
Can you elaborate on the challenges you were saying? You didn't expect it to be as hard as it was. Can you elaborate, like what, other than the expectations, and then kind of struggling there and kind of staying on that level a bit longer than you would have?
Well, again, it comes back to that yearning to succeed and to do it fast and to do it right away. And when you have high expectations of yourself, I guess, and those aren't met, oftentimes you can be disappointed or discouraged. And for me, that was the case. I wasn't getting great results at these lower level events, and all of a sudden you're thinking of why maybe, and what you need to change, or what needs to happen that that could change this situation. But a lot of times, it's just about staying on the course, and if you're doing the right things day in and day out. This sounds very cliche, but it's true. If you have a purpose, if you have a plan, and you're sticking by it, that's really the most you can do. So.
How did you know at that point that you were doing the right thing?
I think working with the right people sometimes is really, really important. And for me it was. And also just gaining self-awareness. You know, I was coming from this environment where there's a lot of people around you and always telling you what to do or how to feel, to then this environment of like isolation really, and you like forcing yourself to be alone with your thoughts, and to really, you know, become more aware of like how you think as an individual and as an athlete on the court. And I think once you find your purpose within that, you can get a lot more clarity.
So you think that basically you needed that time, maybe just from what you're saying, and just correct me if I'm wrong, but just you needed that time to kind of mature and you needed to get to know yourself a little bit better. Was that part of the process? I mean, looking back at it now.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely like a poetic way of saying it, I guess. But sometimes things just take time. You know, things just take time, and you just have to grind it out. And sometimes you don't come across like crazy epiphanies that tell you what to do, right? You know, but like for me, it was a lot of perseverance, I guess, and just believing in the work that you're doing and surrounding yourself with the right people and the right energy.
So can you talk more a little bit about the people, you know, and how do you, because you worked with different, like when you came to the center in Toronto 2017?
Yeah, around that time.
Okay, and you were working with, like Andre would be spearheading this whole operation, you know, but then you would have like some, whether you want it or not, people talk to you, you know, like when you're on the court with somebody, like even if it's a hitting partner, they sometimes they talk, you know, sometimes like coaches talk more than they want to, but anyway, you would be hearing different messages. How would you be dissecting like what do I take in, what do I not, like, who do I listen, like, because it can get a little bit
for sure, absolutely
tough and to know, but just to if you can elaborate.
Yeah, I'm someone who works better with more information, I think. Sometimes I'm able, I guess, to like filter that out, and as I mature as a player, I'm more able to sort of dissect what is it that I need and what is it that maybe I don't need to look into as much. And I respect everyone's opinion. I welcome, you know, all opinions really, and I think it's a good exercise in self-awareness to, you know, hear things and try to integrate them into, you know, how they might work for you. So for me, especially in the early stages, like having lots of messages, they weren't all different. Maybe they were just said in a different way.
Yeah, of course. But that's what I mean. Like it can take like a little subtlety, a little change of tone, a little for you to perceive it differently.
Right. But it's also kind of just like you're dating around. This is kind of a bad analogy, but you have to date around to see what you like, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
It's kind of the same thing with that. You have to figure out what kind of style of coaching works for you, what kind of communication style, what kind of, you know, technique or tactical, or how they think or how you think. And, you know, having a lot of people or a lot of different kinds of styles approach you, and, you know, you having to figure that out, I think is a good thing. Okay,
so what works for you? Like when you're talking about your team and the people that you want to surround yourself with, what are those people, like in terms of what are their values, what are you know, what are you looking for?
I mean, it's not, I guess there's no like checklist really. This is sounding more and more like a dating situation.
It's a different podcast. We just change the sign here and then we talk about
that name works also.
Name works as well.
Yeah. No, I mean it's honestly a vibe. It's an energy that people bring, and I think understanding is really important, mutual understanding. And if someone really takes the time and energy to understand you as a player, and be able to deliver their message in accordance with that, and I mean I'm okay with that. You know, it's there. I can't tell you like this is the criteria. It's really like you work with someone and you feel like it just clicks, and
because it is a relationship at the end.
For sure.
In the end, so it's whatever applies. Like we're joking about. For sure. We're joking about dating, but actually it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I mean you spend so much time with these people, more than anyone else really. So you better make sure that you enjoy being around them.
Yeah, the vibe is so important. Like I feel like for me as a coach, it's so important that I like the player that I work with in terms of, you know, their energy, in terms of their
Gives you more motivation.
personality.
Yeah.
Yes, like if you, I mean, and all the coaches will tell you this. Like if they have the person in front of them who's possesses the same values that they do, like they will be going extra mile for that player. You know? That's when you want to do more, and that's when you want to really figure that person out and really understand what motivates them, what bothers them, what affects them mentally, and you're just trying to, you're basically committing your free time and life in a way to
very selfless thing. Yeah,
exactly. That's when it becomes pure, and that's, I think, when, you know, sometimes we see coaches who help players, and the coaches are not actually coaches. They're maybe parents, maybe they are just a husband sometimes, you know, maybe it's maybe they don't have as much tennis background as other, because one of the best coaches in the world, you take the list, you know, like they're not coming from high playing background, but because of all these different things, they connect with the player the way, you know, like nobody else could, because they understood certain principles that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
We're all unique, you know, and
we
we have to have that one person who will freaking get us, and the connection is there, and like everything that person says, it's like, okay, that makes so much sense, even though you may have heard the same message from different people.
The delivery is very important,
but the vibe is not the same, you know, and then you're
it's like an algorithm almost.
Okay, so you started playing professional events, and that became your life, you know. You were on the road and you were overcoming all these difficulties, but then you hit your career high of 131. Am I correct? 131.
Something around that.
131. So can you talk to me a little bit about that year? So what happened in your mindset? Did you change anything? Because that's, again, you're approaching that the same. The pattern repeats itself, you know, like you're kind of like, you're starting, it's not really happening, you know, like under 12s, but then boom, top 10 in the world. Winning doubles, then go back to university, like starting, getting adjusted, boom, winning nationals, you know, like national championship, then you're going on the pro tour. So the pattern repeats itself. So what, I mean, I guess...
there are a ton of parallels from like under 12. I mean, the mindset, the process is always the same. Like you're always trying to get to that next level. You're trying to break the barrier, right?
That's right.
And it doesn't matter if you're playing a local tournament or if you're trying to get into Wimbledon. Like it's the same thing. So yeah, for me, it was a lot of barriers broken, really, like both with my own personal goals and also just results-wise. So for me, I mean, I was kind of riding on the coattails of that good year, and again, like having results that are maybe indicative of like what you can do, and suddenly you gain confidence in it, and trust yourself more, and trust the process that you're in. So. It's really a snowball effect.
Okay.
And
what did it start with? Like anything in particular, or it's just like some random event, some random win? Like, do you remember? Or?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely, like, if you look back, there's always going to be like some key matches or key events where maybe you won a match that you shouldn't have won, and that started off things for you. But you know, it always comes back around. Like sometimes you lose matches that you should have won, and that happens all the time. But I think in those key moments, you know, when you do get through those tough ones, you know, you're often rewarded with a good run after, and can really set you off on a good run. Sorry, I just repeated that. You can cut that out.
That's okay. No worries. I mean, we're just having conversation. Right?
Yeah.
That's okay. It's all good. So, what's next for Carol? What are your plans right now, and what's the, you know, what are your ideas for the future? Where are you at now?
Well, yeah, like when I reached my career high last year, I was kind of hit with an injury, and it was really my first injury in my career, first serious injury. So not the best timing for sure, but so I'm still struggling with it now. Just been a very non-linear process of getting back to full health, but you know, it's like this whole process has made me realize a lot of things, and I'm taking everything now as an opportunity for growth and a challenge, rather than seeing it as, you know, maybe a misfortune or a roadblock. And I think that's, like, painting it in that way is necessary for you to get out of bed every day and find the motivation to get through those hours of rehab, or the hours of uncertainty, really. So.
Did you think about it in this way right away when you got
Absolutely
injured?
not. No.
Because that's what I was gonna say. Because for a competitive player, you know, like who is playing on the tour, like for a living, to all of a sudden they just got cut from that opportunity to play. Sure. There's nothing worse, you know, because you want to go back and you want to just keep playing and so. How did you come to realize that it's important that, okay, I have this time now. I can fill it with something else. I can work. So how did that process? Yeah,
it was a very, very long, winding process. Because, you know, when it happened, I was, you know, at a career high, and I felt like I was on the cusp of, you know, maybe breaking through to a new goal or a new career high, and to be suddenly, you know, sort of cut off from that and not be able to perform the way that you want to, is a pretty devastating thing for a pro athlete. So for me, you know, not having experienced any kind of injury of this magnitude before,
that's right.
It was a lot of like, how can we do this? Like, how can we fix this right away? Like I need to do this. I need to do that. Like, it was very anxiety ridden, I guess, and it took a lot of time and forced time off for me to really realize that maybe this happened for a reason, and maybe now I have the time to develop and nurture tools and qualities for the future, and maybe, you know, 5 years from now I'll actually look back on this time as a blessing. And so that just immediately, that shift in mindset just sets you off on a completely different path, I think, from being negative and disappointed and, you know, thinking the world is against you, to, you know, all of a sudden being like, wow, this is a golden opportunity, this is amazing, like, let's go and do everything that we can.
So. Yeah, for sure. So what were the things that you realized, okay, I need to work on, or this is a great opportunity to do this? Anything in particular? Yeah,
I mean, just, we started off obviously from a physical standpoint, and just because that's where the problem lied, I guess. And so yeah, just fixing all the kinks and inefficiencies in your body, and making sure that you're, you know, the fittest that you've ever been by the time I go back. And then going from there, obviously, to on-court stuff, and making sure, you know, your foundation is extremely solid, and developing your game style and all that kind of thing. And then going on to, you know, mental performance and nutrition and everything. It's just making it a very holistic process, and being aware that it's not just one thing that makes you, you know, the best. It's really an all around thing.
Yeah. Anything you do nutrition wise, like anything like weird, anything like that, it's not like a super secret?
No, nothing crazy. Honestly, okay. You'd be disappointed to know, like, I'm very I'm very, like, I'll just eat, you know, really whatever. I mean, within reason.
Of course.
Right? Yeah. Like, I'll.
But you're not on a, like, some sort of diet,
no,
or you're not like
no,
you know,
vegan or vegetarian.
Vegan, whatever.
Honestly, that would be very, very tough for me.
But, like, I don't know, like, there's so many different things that people do these days, right? So,
yeah. No, I'm definitely not of that school of thought, I guess.
Okay.
I just do what feels good, within reason, obviously.
That fried chicken we had the other day.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Sometimes you gotta do it. Sometimes you gotta do it.
I know, for sure. So, where are you at with that injury? Like, in terms of, like, how soon are you hitting the competition?
Yeah, well, we're hoping next month to get back out there, and you know, obviously gonna start with smaller events and work my way up, and again, looking at it as an opportunity to, you know, challenge myself and stretch my limits, really, like whether it's mentally with, like, you know, I have to start from the bottom, or you know, tennis wise, trying to adopt the best game style for me and make it what's the word I'm looking for? You know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. So, like just listening to you talk about all this stuff is just fascinating and you just come to realize this thing, like the more you compete, the more you live.
Mm-hmm.
That you have to, like, you cannot prepare for anything. You have to be, like, your mindset has to be working in a certain way that you're constantly have to adapt
mm-hmm.
to any situation.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that you're protected from. There is nothing you can plan and you can set your goals, but it can change. It can be changed like in a snap. So
for sure,
the elasticity of your mind, of your brain is
mm-hmm.
so important.
For sure, have to be very willing to be malleable and changeable, and always learning and always willing to do something different in the benefit of for the benefit of yourself.
Yeah. Speaking about adaptation, like when you travel, and tennis players probably like their schedule is like I think one of the toughest,
mm-hmm.
like in terms of like you're 1 week you're here, another week you're there, like you have to constantly adapt, and sometimes to different time zones, different like the weather conditions is different, and
mm-hmm.
it affects the ball flight, so you have to. Like sometimes the airplane loses your luggage and all that stuff.
All the time.
I mean all the athletes have to deal with that kind of
right.
stuff. But I feel like for a tennis player, because it's such a individual sport, there's not really a team that goes through the same thing.
Yeah.
You are the one who goes through that, and you have to be on the court. You have to be performing.
Yeah. No, so much uncertainty.
Yeah, exactly. So how are you dealing with that kind of stuff when you have to travel and adapt to? Is there something that's helping you? Is there something that, like, I don't know. I'm just curious. Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been days like you said where I didn't know where I was going to be in the world tomorrow. And that happens sometimes just with like scheduling, or if you're injured, or if there's some kind of uncertainty, you're not getting into a tournament. So that kind of thing I don't love, to be honest. I like having a plan, and if I have a direction, it's easier for me to execute something.
For sure.
But it's part of the job, and it's something you sign up for. And I think whenever I go to a new place, I try to take some time to visit something, or to see something new, or learn something about the culture. And I think that keeps me engaged with like the travel agenda, if you will. So yeah, that's probably one thing that I do. But it's not easy. You can't always find the time or energy to do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So just by talking to you, I realized that how much like team competitions meant to you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a doubles, you're being like a little team of two.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to university, being in a bit bigger team,
mm-hmm.
and being part of something. And you were saying that you really like to contribute, to the whole team, and to this whole idea that the
mm-hmm.
team is fighting for,
mm-hmm.
whatever that is, and being part of that culture.
Mm-hmm.
And another experience like that, obviously, is FedCup. So, what are your, I guess, experiences with FedCup? How do you like it? Just talk about your experience being part of it.
Yeah, I mean, as tennis players, we're conditioned almost to be extremely selfish, and to think of yourself first, which I think I do to some extent. So I was surprised how much I loved my experience at Stanford, and also playing for FedCup, or any kind of event like Pan Am Games where you're playing for something greater than yourself. I just think sometimes that has the potential to bring out the best in you, and FedCup obviously is sort of the pinnacle of that. You're playing for your country, and just I don't know, when you have other people with you trying to achieve the same goal. I think a lot of players, especially in this individual sport, are hungry for that kind of feeling. So yeah, it's a lovely experience.
Yeah, as a coach, I've always preferred team competitions
mm-hmm.
to just a regular tournament, because
mm-hmm.
it's just so much fun, and I feel like you can connect with the player on a completely different level,
mm-hmm.
with the coaching being allowed on the changeover, and it just brings completely different dynamic to the whole match, and like you see people with flags, and really that almost like a soccer kind of environment,
mm-hmm.
where like everybody's yelling,
yes.
screaming, you have to deal with that,
yes.
and you're just you have the Canada on your back.
Yes, Because sometimes, like, as a sorry to interrupt, but
No, it's good.
like when you're playing by yourself and there's two people watching, and
That's right.
you know, it's a lot harder to like get into it the way that you would when there's, you know, a full stadium of
Like,
like
it's
10,000.
crazy how you can
shouting
get that
for you.
energy from people, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's just like the second they're like, Carol, you can just like, yeah, exactly. Like, let's get going here. Like, it's all of a sudden, it's not only, you know, you're playing for yourself. It's not only like, oh, you know, like I'm so out of it. I'm so tired. You can't allow. I'm not saying you would in a regular singles match, but those thoughts would creep in, and here they would just disappear instantly because you realize, oh no, like there's no way.
Yeah, because
like I have to.
Yeah, I've always felt that there's much fulfillment to be found in doing for others. You know, I think, or just making others feel something, and I think that sometimes what I try to do with music as well is like if someone comes up to me and be like, oh wow, like I really that song or that lyric really resonated with me, that's like a very super fulfilling thing. So it's kind of the same with tennis. It's if you can, you know, do something great on the court that makes others feel like a cool emotion. I think that's awesome.
So is that your like higher meaning for playing tennis?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's like the sole higher meaning. I'm not gonna give my higher meaning away.
Okay.
You know what it is. But
it's one of the
yeah,
one of the things
I mean,
that you enjoy.
it's something that I think drives me and a lot of other people. I think, and
I think it's important to have that kind of reason. You know, like a little bit like is that the word? Like not non-selfish, I guess. Like a little bit higher meaning that you're not just doing it for yourself and for your own like trophies and stuff like that. There has to be some part of you that wants to do it just for something like you said, something higher than you, or for somebody. Like you're giving part, because when you're on the court, when you're alone, you're giving part of yourself to people watching you, to whoever came to the match, watching you on TV, to your coach, whatever. You're parting with some part of yourself.
Right, and also in tennis, even though it's an individual sport, I mean, it really takes a village. You know better than anyone. I mean, it's like there's so many people who have invested their time and energy into your development, and you know, of course, you want to do it for yourself, and you want the trophies, you want the glory of whatever it is. But at the same time, I think it's a cool feeling to sort of give back to those who have helped you. So
yeah, speaking about giving back, you know, we also know that you are not only a great tennis player, but you're playing also piano, and you're playing a guitar. Like, so you like writing your own lyrics, writing your songs, and when did that happen? Like, and like, how do you carry it on?
Yeah.
You know, as you're playing tennis, how do you still have some time for stuff like this?
Yeah. Well, I actually started playing piano and studying music the same time that I started playing tennis. So it's always been a part of my life, I guess.
That's insane. Like,
yeah,
to me that's crazy. Sorry to interrupt, but it's like for you to manage like to do kind of both. You know, like
I mean, I didn't always do both. Like starting from like age 15, I had to cut off the music.
Still
you know,
15.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's for me, they're all modes of self-expression, right? And it's a very cathartic exercise for me to write songs, or even though I have no idea how to write songs. I mean, it's just like, you know, I just do it and it feels right. And
God damn it.
No. I mean it in a totally, you know, like non-conceited way. It's just like, you know what I mean? Like, I just find a lot of peace in doing that. And then if someone else can, you know, be resonated like with that song, it means a lot to me. And so, like music's always been a huge part of my life, and always will be, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to play something today?
I guess so, since I brought this, right?
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so
So what are you gonna sing?
This is a song called Home. I actually wrote it a couple years ago, but I've always, I don't know, like I thought of home as not just a place. It could be like a person, a memory, it could be anything. And I don't know, I guess it's just my way of like trying to delineate that for myself. I don't know.
Okay, let's hear it.
There's a place that I call home. Okay, sorry. And cut. There's a place that I call home. Wash all the filth off my bones. Reminisce about how the leaves would grow. There's a place that I call home. You've left a mark deep in my soul. A place where I thought we'd grow old. My rivers froze as I had to let you go. But you will always be my home. And I realize sun's passing by, but I'm still holding on to what's left behind. Please forgive me if I missed out on you and I promise, darling, I'm trying to hold on tight. There's a place that I call home. A little further down the road. Roam about in the clear white snow. There's a place that I call home. We're so afraid of being alone. We hold each other in our thrones. Remember all the faces that I used to know. That was where I felt at home. And I realize sun's passing by, but I'm still holding on to what's left behind. Please forgive me if I missed out on you and I promise, darling, I'm trying to hold on tight. And I'll be gone by the morning. Give me one more look in your eye. You can't stop the rain from pouring, so I'll find a space to hide. I don't show any warning, but I'm falling to pieces when you're not by my side. So this is goodbye, would that be alright? Just stop holding on to what's left behind. Please forgive me if I missed out on you and I promise, darling, I'm trying to hold on tight. I promise, darling, that we'll be alright.
Wow.
Didn't screw up that time.
But that was awesome, honestly.
Thank you.
I heard the song before, so I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like fake the reaction. But honestly, I think this is the best song that you've ever written.
Wow, thank you. Jeez.
Yeah, honestly, like, wow, really good. And because I have a recording of this, and I kept listening to it quite a few times, because this is amazing, I think.
Thank you. Wow.
I know your opinion is different.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a song that you like better, like personally.
Yeah. Oh.
Do you want to play that one?
Oh man, I don't know if I remember.
You played it yesterday.
Or like 2 days ago.
No, but seriously, sometimes you don't remember. This is very new, but I'll try it my best.
That's gonna be an intro to the show.
Yeah, okay, cool. Smell of raindrops on the ground. Navy blue skies follow me downtown. You're wearing the same shirt as before. Cooler than the winter sky, or just your letter want or need. Somebody's gotta take the lead. But you and me have too much in common, it seems. I don't wanna cry about you in my sleep, but I still want your warmth and company. The sun sparkles in me. The summer wind blows in a way I don't wanna be. Reading maps on a foreign city shore. Follow where your words made me, or just the roses at my door. Want or need, somebody's gotta take the lead. But you and me have too much in common, it seems. I don't wanna cry about you in my sleep, but I still want your warmth and company. Yeah, only screwed up once. It's good.
No, but that's good that you were saying it's fresh, right? It's like
Yeah.
couple days you were saying?
Maybe a couple weeks. I don't
Maybe a
know.
couple
Yeah.
days. Wow, that's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing. It's
No, thank you for letting me.
no, I mean obviously you can tell that the songs based on the lyrics there's more meaning to them, you know, and they're deep and they're personal.
Yeah.
Like when you're singing, like
Yeah.
you can tell that they mean something more than just words. You know, it's some
Oh, that's
experiences that you're for sure, because it seems like you're putting your experience into everything in the music and in the words.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next question: is like, how do you manage relationships? You know, because it's so tough for somebody who travels so much.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not in any city for long enough to meet the person, to get connected, to stay in a relationship. So how do you manage that? Like,
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. It's really, really hard. Even with friendships or any kind of relationship, you know, it's hard to find the time and the space to get it right. And especially for someone like me, I'm very personable. I like to think, or I'm extroverted. I like to make friends, but it really takes time for me to truly open up to someone and for them to get to know me on a deeper level. So that doesn't really work well for me in this current setup. But yeah, I think it's, again, I believe that all relationships are fluid, right? And people come and go as we grow and as they grow, and I think I'm kind of just at that stage where I'm focusing on me and you know, just letting things happen, I guess, as they may. So
do you think it's possible to get like a good long-term relationship with that lifestyle that you have?
Yeah, I think so, definitely, or I'm hopeful of that, at least. I mean, I think it just all comes down to meeting the right person, and you know, if everything clicks and if you all understand each other, I think there's definitely room for that. Yeah.
Okay. The reason I'm asking, I'm also traveling a lot, so
yeah, you asked me this, I should be asking you this.
No, but like really, it's not easy, you know, like to connect.
Yes.
You know, first of all, like, because it's, I mean, the more you grow as a person, the harder it is for you to find people that you can connect on the same level. You know? And also, like you said, it takes time to connect. But if you're in Paris for 1 week, or if you're in Madrid, or if you're in China for
and it's not like you're on vacation. So.
Exactly, you only have like a dinner to yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the only thing you have, right?
For sure.
So it's definitely not easy, but well.
Yeah, it's definitely like a work-life balance too. You know, it's like you're obviously dedicating a lot into your work,
That's
and
right.
so the amount of room you leave for the life part of it also is being adjusted as you sort of ride the wave of that. So for me it's always like I'm kind of not in the mental space right now to force anything. I think people come and go in your life as they should, and I'm always going to maintain an effort to build bonds and try to keep them as the years go by. But sometimes life just happens, and we all have to live with that.
Yeah, I think like just from personal experience, like the best relationships that I was in, they happened so randomly. It's not even funny, like honestly. And the reason why you're laughing because some of them, and just because if you think about that person who would potentially be in a relationship, that guy or that girl in my case are also have certain values.
Exactly.
It's not like they're hanging out like at a bar all day long for you to come and
yes,
they're grinding on their own shit.
Yeah.
They're doing their own thing and they're dedicated to their own craft. And when do you meet a guy who's working like 18 hours a day on a new like business thing, or so it's
and it's a very like unique lifestyle and
right.
like life trajectory I guess I've made for myself. And so a lot of times, like you said, it's hard to connect with people on that more visceral level, and that's something that I look for and that I need, fortunately and unfortunately, depending on how you look at it. And so I guess I'm a little bit more not picky, but like just like aware of that, I guess. Yeah.
So we've discussed a bunch of different things, a bunch of challenges, that as a tennis player, especially at your age, at your level, that you have to deal with, like the travel, you're on your own a lot of times. You're like the relationship thing, and like I've definitely like takes a like certain amount of energy from you mentally. So how do you keep that motivation, and how do you keep that focus on what needs to be done? Because you still have your goals, you still have your things, and
for sure,
like what's that?
It's kind of like that feeling like when you're in college, like there's so much for you to do and you want to do all of it. That's kind of what it's like in real life too. When you have a lot of interests or passions or ambitions or whatnot. But for me, especially throughout this whole injury experience or journey, I should say, because it's been quite a journey. I've tried to just look at the process as part of the reward, because we're always trying to reach something, right? Like we're trying to reach the next goal, we're trying to win this next tournament, we're trying to earn this money or whatever it is in your life that you're shooting towards. And a lot of times, I don't know about you, but once you actually do reach it, it's not as amazing as you imagined it to be. And I think I've tried to reframe that now into, because I'm so in the process now, I guess, to make that and all of its good and the bad part of the reward, part of the experience, part of what will help you grow in the future. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I think this is a very important thing that you're bringing up, because a lot of people don't quite get it, and it's so hard to get it even if you are in the process, because these thoughts of like of your goal, of your like ambitions, it's like on a daily basis you're fighting against it
100%.
But it makes sense. And if you look at high achievers, they all say that it's like it's about the process, it's about for the same reason like all these businessmen, businesswomen, they keep grinding, they keep doing new business projects, like they're like wealthy as but it's not the wealth that's driving them, it's the challenge that they have to overcome for the new business project they're doing,
because you're living with the process, like the
that's
result is a split second thing.
Exactly. So what are you going to do after? Well, it's the same thing but new something. That's what's driving you, and I was watching a documentary on a mountain climber. I don't know if you watched it. It's called Free Solo.
Yeah, I watched it.
I sent you
Yeah,
the trailer
yeah,
the other
I
day.
watched
That's
it.
right. So, like, he was saying, Alex Honnold, he was just saying that basically I'm looking constantly for new challenges and new like ways to, you know, he has this voice inside him, he has this inner desire to constantly like climb these like crazy ass mountains like and just conquer them, and he's doing it with no ropes. I mean, obviously he's doing it with the ropes a bunch of times before he makes an attempt to do it with no ropes, but like it's a crazy thing to do, and why would but he loves that feeling when he's out there and he's doing that.
His is like an extreme manifestation of like what often like we feel inside is like this, you know, you don't feel good, you're gassed or you're super tired, but you still keep going, you know, and you can't explain why. And his is like, you know, obviously a completely heroic version of that, but
no, for sure.
Yeah, it's a really cool documentary.
Yeah, because like if you think about it, again going back to him, because I'm still under a big impression like what he has achieved, like it's done. Like everybody's talking about the documentary now, like it's done. Like he was preparing for it like so many years, and like it took him so many like going back and forth with the ropes, like making sure that he knows the route inside and out, like to the point like how to turn the hand, when to turn, like it's crazy like when you look at it. But that's what's driving him in the end. Of course it's the end goal, but like that whole process, if you're not in it, if you're not enjoying it, like
yeah. And a lot of it, like even if I look back on like the memories that tennis has brought me or the places I've been, like it's, you know, they've all been tangentially related to me playing tennis, but not like my greatest memories aren't always from winning or lifting the trophy, you know what I mean? It's a lot of like the life experience that you gain, and that you'll keep forever. And I think that's part of what we say, like when we look at the process as a reward rather than just the tangible stuff itself.
What are those experiences?
I mean, just, you know, being able to been to like 25, 30 countries, seeing the world. I mean, that's not something I would have gotten to do without tennis.
That's true.
And meeting awesome people, like just having crazy experiences, challenging yourself in a way that most people don't get to at my age or younger. And I think these are all very healthy and very valuable experiences and traits that you carry on to your life later on.
I think it's so cool to think like this because not a lot of people do, you know, and especially like working with the younger players, I can see them, like for example, when we go to South America on a tour, everybody's freaking out, like, you know, like, oh my god, it's so unsafe. So I'm like, listen, you get this unbelievable opportunity to travel, to learn something about the culture. You know, you don't know, you have no idea what's going on there. Go. There's so many tourists going there every single time. Just go, eat their food, you know, learn a little bit the language, meet the people. And once kids actually go, because everybody's freaking out because the parents are freaking out, and there are reasons to do that. I mean, not to say that it's for no reason, because it's in the media, and you
for sure.
If you have a child, I cannot imagine what it is like to you know, but once they actually get out and go, and like you go to the Russia, you know, you go to the Red Square when it's -30, and you see these like all these cathedrals that they've been built like so many years ago, or you go to Antigua in Guatemala, to this ancient Aztec city, and it just makes them better people, you know, and that's what you're saying, like to appreciate also, and also you get to see how people live, and you come back to Canada and you realize, holy shit, I'm so lucky.
Oh, are you allowed to swear in this?
We can do whatever
you just
we
told
want.
me this at the end. The heck?
We can do whatever we want. Like.
Yeah.
So basically, you know, like they realize, like, oh my god, I'm actually good. Like I have no problems really, because they see how kids
puts a perspective.
Exactly, puts perspective and appreciation of what they have in life, and they realize that the kids younger than them are washing cars for, I don't even know, like 5 cents, you know, like, and it's crushing, and it's really changing their perspective. Some of them don't, of course, but I think if you're brought up in a nice family with good values, and I mean any kid understands that.
Yeah.
Whether they're gonna take that experience further and it's gonna change their life or affect their life, that's a different story. But
Right.
it's not an easy thing for me. It's not an easy thing to see for them for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
It's not comfortable to see a kid like 4 years younger than you washing a car.
Yeah.
That you're in.
Yeah, I remember like being in Manila and walking to the club and just being like chased after by these kids who just wanted some change. And I don't know, like those moments or those experiences, I feel like you
Priceless.
don't forget. Yeah, not to say that they're good or bad. It's just the experience itself, and being able to be there at that moment and see that with your own eyes, I think is a really cool thing.
Yeah, and there's one experience like we were talking about, like the seeing the life and everything, but there's also like lots of positive experiences. Like extremely when you're just again like tasting like the sushi from Japan, or you're just going to like a concert on that one day off that you had in that in that city, or you're meeting somebody from that culture and you get connected and you just talk to almost like a stranger, like over dinner or whatever.
And you realize how crazy
and you're
life
like,
is.
oh my god, like I can't believe you're doing that. Or
Yeah.
like I met when I was it's crazy, like I can't believe I just remember this, like completely random, but I was coming back from my Austria tour. I was going to my vacation and I was going to Malaga, and I met this girl. We were standing like in the line to check into our flight, and she just asked me some random question about like the plane leaving or something. I'm like, I don't know, and we just started talking. I don't remember how.
Yeah.
But she was like a scientist. She studies ants.
Wow.
And we got into this weird, like as weird as it can get in a airport lineup to check in conversation about like ants. And I just kept asking her questions, like what fascinates her. And she just kept talking and talking. She's like saying like ants are the only like insects who actually can sacrifice themselves for the sake of others. Wow. I had no idea. I mean, not that it's gonna change my life, but like when are you gonna like talk to a scientist who studies ants?
Yeah. No.
For life. I mean, and it's just one of those experiences.
Exactly.
You can say, well, who cares? But to me, it was like so cool, like to meet somebody like I would never have met, like any no way.
Yeah, it's just constantly new stimulus, right? And
That's
like
right.
new experiences and new things to try. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, Carol, you're gonna have more of those experiences pretty soon. Of course, I'm referring to you coming back on the road and healing the injury finally.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's knock on the wood. Yeah, exactly. So, and I really hope that you come back and you're gonna conquer your new career high and achieve many more things that you deserve to. You truly do, because you're like, if I think about you as a person, as an athlete, like you have the good values. You do the work. You're committed to your craft. You're respectful. You're polite. You introduced me to Korean fried chicken.
That's the most important thing.
The most important, and the list goes on.
And
again, you're a talented musician. You're just like overall unbelievable person, and you totally deserve that. So I wish you all honestly all the best, and hopefully it's gonna come soon.
Thank you, Bogdan. I'm right back at you.
Okay, awesome. Thanks a lot, Carol.
Thank you.
All right. Guys, thanks a lot for staying until this moment. It means that you finished the podcast, finished the show. And please feel free to leave a comment below to give us some feedback if you feel like there's something that needs to be improved. I know the sound will get better because that was my mistake. I messed up and the sound wasn't recording from this mic. It was recording from the laptop mic, that's why the intro sound and this sound is different than the actual sound of the podcast. But other than that, leave the comment below. Let me know what I can do better. If you want to support the show, check out our Patreon page. It helps a lot to keep the show going and just to release episode a little bit more frequently, because that's the plan. That's what I want to do. And I'll see you guys later. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was
Honestly, like,
yeah.
Damn.
Was there anything that we didn't cover that we can think of right now?
I have no idea, but I think we killed it this time.
Yeah, that was better, I think.
Right?